Alright, this week I'm not going to continue with that project as I mentioned in the last video. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a further break from it. Instead, I'm going to be concentrating on changing my workbench surface. The reason for that is because I recently went on Amazon and I bought a bunch of these. So I'm going to make my workbench into almost an MFT. I'm making it a bit more usable. So one thing I'm going to be getting rid of is this. But I know what you're thinking, how am I going to get rid of this but still keep it the way it is? You'll have to keep watching to find out. This is a job that I've been thinking about doing for a while, but I kept thinking that the T-track that I had would be good enough for what I needed. However, there have been times when, say, I've just been planing some wood and I could have used some more support, or at least a way to stop the wood moving around. Now with doing the MFT, I will have the support that I need. When I first installed this top, I decided not to glue it, but just to use some screws to secure it down. Part of the thought behind that was that it would be easier to get access if I need to do some maintenance. It came in handy when about a month after putting it on, I needed to replace the vise that I had for the standard one that I use now. Obviously the underneath side, now the top side, never had any finish applied to it. What it did have was some old glue stains, which I did my best to remove, but in the end I'm not bothered about it as it is a workbench after all. Then I tried to coat the screw holes that were there from the T-track. Some were really bad, but again I wasn't too bothered how they would look, just as long as they didn't come back to annoy me sometime later. I came in 50mm from the edge for the first row / column for the holes, then I measured out spacings of 96mm, but what you'll see me use is a story stick where I already had the distances marked out. After I'd marked the first ones, I just got my largest square to draw as far as I could to start with. After that I used a long ruler, which was a long ruler level, and finished off the grid pattern. I went on to do a pre-drill using a 4mm drill bit. This makes it easier for when I use the force in the bit, and I can flip the top over so that I'm drilling from both sides, although I'm sure I don't really need to tell you about this because you'll already know. After all the holes were drilled, I then just grabbed some 80 grit sandpaper just to get rid of the loose bits that were left over. I also used the sanding twigs to clean the inside of them. I'll leave links to them and other things that I use in the description and the comments. The links are affiliated, but at no cost to yourselves. For the full sanding, I just used 80 and 120 grits. You'll notice though that as sanding, quite a few things do like to drop in to see what's going on. If I was able to work out how to make the workbench less of a vibration table, I would love to see if I could resolve it. If you have any ideas, please let me know in the comments. Then I apply 2 coats of Danish oil, which is exactly what I used originally on the other side. I do prefer using the foam brushes to apply the finishes to all of my projects, as they are cheap and make a good job of spreading the oil out. So another project done. This week, I am extremely happy with how this has come out. Now the only issue I would have is these have got a 20mm diameter. The force nip that I used was 20mm. So yes, they will go in to a degree and you can force them in, but getting them out, I had to use some pliers. So what I'm probably going to have to do is get some 80 grit sandpaper, maybe on a thin dowel, and just rub it around the insides and hopefully widen the holes just a little bit. So until the next time, Gan Canny man.